and welcome to today's episode of Socially Distant Discover Nature. So we're going to try something a little bit different today. Normally we focus on a particular topic of wildlife, but today we're going to talk about a grounding technique. So grounding is the process of staying in the moment. So rather than worrying about the past or the future, you're just kind of existing in the here and now. It's very useful. It's very useful, especially if you get overwhelmed with things, as I do since lockdown, and also before lockdown as well. Yes, indeed. We all have our own worries, anxieties, troubles, and I don't know, objectively, if you can look at things objectively, they might not seem big in the grand scheme of things, or they might be big in the grand scheme of things, but regardless of that, to yourself, in the moment, when you're fretting, anxious, worrying, horrified, any of the above, your troubles feel big and sometimes insurmountable. So one of the things to do is to try get back into a relative zone of calm, and you can do this by this grounding technique. I was taught this by my partner. I'm not sure where she got it from. She might have been taught it by someone else or come up with it herself. It doesn't always work for me, but it's just another thing I have in my toolkit when things get stressful. It may not work for you, it may work sometimes, it might make things worse. It's something to potentially try. Before we carry on, I should say I am in no way a qualified therapist. This is just something that I use in my own personal experience, which I have derived some benefit from, and you might derive some benefit from it too. If not, just kind of forget about it. I should also say, if things are completely overwhelming, you should phone for help. The Samaritans phone line I will put up on the screen, or failing that, 999. So the whole ethos of ecotherapy is that we can gain kind of physical and emotional well-being from being in and around nature. And this technique is called the 5, 4, 3, 2, I can't do the hand signals. It's the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 technique. And it's just involves observing your surroundings. Admittedly, the technique does require the slightest level of grounding in order to even contemplate doing it. So you might not be able to do it in the middle of a panic. So why is it called 5, 4, 3, 2, 1? Well, first of all, you start off by looking for 5 things. These could be any things in your surroundings, but take a good, proper, detailed look at them. What I like to do is look for animals. So active, mobile creatures. It engages your senses, it gets you scanning the treetops, and then you're looking for the movement of squirrels rather than thinking, did I fill in my tax return right? Or did I not feed the dog? Or feed it too much? Or is the dog feeding itself too much? Who knows? Anyway, so 5 things. So as an example, I went for a walk in Acombe Wood recently, and the first thing I saw was a herring gull sat on someone's roof, just as if it was the seaside, merrily sitting there. And then the next, a wood pigeon, massive, kind of fat wood pigeon. Is there any other kind? Just kind of clocking that, seeing what it's doing. And then squirrels in Acombe Wood, flowing. They've got a really sort of weird, flowing, undulating movement. There was loads of squirrels. If you want to count multiple squirrels, that's absolutely fine. You just tailor it how you want. I like to find sort of 5 different creatures. So I had my gull, my wood pigeon, my squirrels, fleeting glimpse of a blackbird fleeing and panicking in the loud way that blackbirds do. And then I think the final one, because I was having trouble finding any sort of active creatures, I went back on my rule and I just found some rowan berries, bright red vibrant rowan berries. So that's your 5 things that you've looked for using your vision sense. Next, for number 4, you need to find or experience 4 things that you're listening out for. Birdsong is great for hearing, even if you don't know what it is. You can just pick up on the different types of sounds. So the sort of da-da-da, da-da-da, da-da-da. Doesn't matter if you don't know if it's a song thrush, you're just hearing that. So you might get, I don't know, 1, 2, 3 sounds of bird songs and a dog barking, or it could be something like the wind rustling through the leaves in the trees, in the canopy. Then you move on to 3 things that you can sense by touching. I don't want to be that guy who points out health and safety, but obviously some things are spiny and stingy and bitey occasionally. So, don't go poking what you don't understand. But there are simple things that you can experience through the sensation of touch. The rough bark of a tree, the sort of feathery, furry sensation of grass heads. If you don't have any of that to hand, you might have hair, or an arm, or a face. Yeah, that's technically part of nature, I suppose. So there's stuff out there. Then you move on to the 2. So these are 2 things that you can smell. So it doesn't have to be a pleasant smell. Aiken Woods is often full of dog poo, but it's still a horrible, horrible grounding smell. More interesting would be the scent of flowers, freshly cut grass. Sometimes this can be hard, but there will be at least a couple of scents to discover when you're out and about. And the final one is sometimes the most difficult one, and this is the sense of taste. So try and experience 1 thing of taste. And obviously I'm not asking you to go around nibbling leaves or berries or mushrooms, any of that. Often you can taste things just breathing in. So a particularly heady scent of blossom, you'll be able to taste it on the breeze. So that, in several nutshells, is the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 technique. So you start off with 5 things that you look out for, then you go on to 4 things that you can hear, and then there's 3 things that you can touch, 2 things that you can smell, and finally 1 thing that you can taste. And the theory is that by the time you've engaged all your senses, you've been in the moment, and you will have maybe calmed down a little bit, things might not seem so overwhelming, and you'll be able to tackle life afresh. It might not work. It might not work. It hasn't worked for me in the past sometimes, or sometimes I get through stages 5 and 4 and I'm fine, but it's just something to try out. As I said at the beginning, I'm in no way a therapist of any kind. I'm about as far removed from that as you can get, but this represents my own personal experience, something you can try. But if things are getting too bad, do either phone the Samaritans, or if it's really, really bad, 999. And yeah, good luck. Good luck out there. The world sometimes seems quite scary, especially with the pandemic ongoing. So I think whatever we can do to remain just a little bit calmer is probably a good thing. So thank you very much, and until next time, goodbye. What you're not seeing now is there's a dog approaching off camera. Lottie, come and say hello. Come up, come up. Yes, yes, yes. It's very grounding hugging a doggy. Yes, it is.